As Ilhas Selvagens. Um remoto posto avançado no Atlântico Norte, com uma poderosa agitação marítima que encheu o fundo do mar com naufrágios. Sob estas vagas violentas fica um outro mundo. Um ecossistema único de importância vital para o Oceano Atlântico. Em setembro de 2015, a equipa do Pristine Seas da National Geographic focou sua atenção num pequeno arquipélago português no Atlântico Norte.
This little bird ends up protecting the whole archipelago. In 1971, the Portuguese government realised that the bird numbers were so low that they were on the verge of being unsustainable. So the government bought these islands in a great act of leadership to protect the birds. And of course it did. Here, and we're going to sail north just over 100 miles to the Salvagens Islands, which are Portuguese territory in the Atlantic, lined up with the Western Sahara and Morocco. Not much is really known about it, so we're going to do a complete, comprehensive marine science survey of the Salvagens Islands.
I really think it's key to have good scientific data in order to inform the policy. It's really, really useful for what should be the next steps.
It's really to do a comprehensive baseline from algae to fishes to whales and dolphins and everything in between to get a comprehensive understanding of this ecosystem.
Eles chegam às selvagens.
These are two isolated little rocks in the middle of nowhere. And it's just exciting to be in a different place that hardly anyone's ever been.
What's going on is that thousands of these beautiful shearwaters head out to sea and feed, and they come back here in the evening because they're nesting, so they're feeding the young ones. 40,000 or something breeding shearwaters on this island, and we've got a lot to thank them for. Not only are they beautiful to look at, but they're the reason these islands were first protected. They realised the value. This is one of the largest breeding colonies in the whole Atlantic Ocean. What we do is hunt out the last pristine places in the ocean and protect them.
Até à data, eles ajudaram a proteger mais de 3 milhões de quilómetros quadrados. Esta é uma equipa internacional de cientistas e cineastas, homens e mulheres, com uma autêntica paixão pelo mar.
I think I decided to be a marine biologist when I was about 5 or 6. I put a mask on my face when I couldn't even swim yet. The world that opened in front of me was of such wonders that I really become in love with the ocean.
First stop is to meet the rangers and the biologists and get the lowdown on where we can go, what we can do. This is a good sign. There's a dog on the island, there's life. Excited to step foot on land, but even more excited to get in the water.
We're here at Salvajes Grande, which is the large island in the Salvajes group. And before we start work, we need to get our briefing from Carolina Santos, who is the ranger here. And she's going to give us a briefing on the rules and regulations, how this park is managed, because we're very much in partnership with the Portuguese authorities on this. So we're going to spend, hopefully not too long, because we're keen to get diving.
I think you already studied the area, so you already know what you want.
We do. We've got our vessel Plan B just anchored up around the corner. And on days like this, we'll use the smaller boats because it's just quicker and more flexible to get small boats away and go to work. And what do you think of it so far? Fantastic. Okay, good.
Estes são os protetores desta paisagem bela e agreste. Mas o Pristine Seas está aqui para explorar o mundo subaquático, escondido por baixo destas poderosas vagas.
Welcome to our morning routine on Pristine Seas. This is a scene that's repeated all over the world on these expeditions. So it's all action. We sort of go from this sort of waking up, wow, what a beautiful morning, to bang, let it happen.
Estão impacientes por mergulhar, mas não podem subestimar estas condições.
There's a sense of exposure that we get here at the Selvagens because we really do feel that we're in the centre of the Atlantic. We're not in the centre of the Atlantic, we're on the East Atlantic, but it has a sense of beautiful exposure to the power of the sea. It's a double-edged sword being this exposed. As soon as the waves kick up, as soon as them storms come in, wow, there's no place to hide.
São ondas fortes que produzem algumas filmagens dramáticas. Apesar de dificultar o mergulho, esta agitação traz nutrientes para a superfície, criando um ambiente propício à vida.
Kind of rough and surgy, and a lot of the fish really like that. The chubs, the rudder fish, all were hanging out in the surf zone.
Para o cientista português, Manuel Gonçalves, isto é um sonho tornado realidade.
To be able to witness in first hand these beauties of our biodiversity in our country that only a few people have been able to watch so far.
Aqui é evidente que a biomassa de herbívoros está a prosperar. E os predadores também. Grandes cardumes de lírios vêm caçar. Outro bom sinal. Em ecossistemas marinhos saudáveis, predadores como os lírios, os meros e os peixes-porco completam a cadeia alimentar. E uma das suas tarefas menos conhecidas é controlar os ouriços do mar. Se não forem controlados, os ouriços podem perturbar a cadeia alimentar de forma grave.
Sea urchins just tend to proliferate, and they create what's called urchin barrens. And so the urchins mow down all the algae just down to bare rock. And just the whole ecosystem doesn't function well.
Em áreas de sobrepesca, estes desertos de ouriços podem estender-se por milhares de quilómetros.
But here you find sea urchins in densities that they don't eat and graze all along all the algae. So I think they're pretty much in equilibrium in the ecosystem.
Se as populações de ouriços estão controladas, tal significa que há peixes predadores suficientes no ambiente. Mas onde estão os grandes caçadores? Predadores de topo, como os tubarões, são uma das referências de um ambiente imaculado e produtivo. Aqui, são uma peça que falta. As primeiras impressões podem dizer muito, mas para obter uma ideia precisa, eles têm de fazer ciência pura e dura.
We want to know the biomass of the overall environments here in the Salvagen and to compare those with other areas. It's very important to know how these pristine sites differ from the areas which are much more impacted by human activities.
We lay out transect lines, we count and size all the fishes within prescribed areas.
And we count every seaweed or every invertebrate. The importance of these small animals, small plants, they are crucial for the maintenance of the diversity. Without this kind of invertebrates or these kind of seaweeds, the big animals could not exist. Look at this. This for only one dive. So a lot of different species in the transect.
It was pretty phenomenal. You just imagine the bounty that existed before people took things off, and then you also realize how susceptible these places are to
Sort of scale, human scale within this wild landscape that is so beautiful. Absolutely great. There's 3 here at Grande.
Juvenile will rest in the nest for 2 weeks.
because they are too heavy, too fat.
This is Selvagens gecko. It's an endemic species. We have a population of 10,000 individuals, and you can identify every individual by the eye, like our fingerprints.
At least twice through the course of history, people have tried to populate this island permanently, but it's never worked. It's just too harsh. They built these extensive walls to try and stabilise the ground. They brought in rabbits and goats and...
A equipa tem uma rara oportunidade de explorar uma área normalmente muito perigosa para o mergulho. Eles têm uma tarefa especial. Estão a recolher amostras de peixes juvenis, só com algumas semanas, para determinar se nasceram aqui ou se vieram de outro lugar, para ser catalogada.
Should we anesthetize these guys just a little bit?
Maybe.
Yeah, let's just throw there's some clover on there.
Negro, na história das selvagens.
This Italian ship, a beautiful, sturdy Italian cargo ship, got it wrong one night and ended up right on this beach. There's something about the sobering thought of what it was like that night when this thing ran aground. We've been diving these shipwrecks around here, and this is in the ocean, these are the Selvagens, the Savage Islands, and we're exposed. But boy, we are, and it's always on our minds.
Recolha de dados. O Pristine Seas aprendeu muito sobre os ecossistemas em redor destas ilhas. Mas eles precisam de saber mais sobre as águas mais profundas das selvagens, de forma a completar a pesquisa. O de golfinhos malhados aparece.
Waypoint between navigating between all these different islands along the North African and European coast. So they're pretty critical for a lot of these species that are really important and, you know, are in a lot of trouble in many places.
O segundo equipamento é a câmara de profundidade, a qual é enviada mesmo até ao fundo.
They're deep-sea cameras that have been to the deepest spots in the ocean, in the Mariana Trench, so 30,000 feet down, as far as you can go.
De regresso ao Recife, a equipa de mergulho tem esperança de preencher algumas lacunas deste extraordinário ecossistema.
We saw large groupers everywhere, and this is really something that we don't see anymore, unfortunately, in most of European shores or even in the nearby islands.
A presença destes meros, grandes predadores, é um bom indicador de um sistema marinho saudável. Estes peixes têm também um elevado valor para a pesca, e vê-los a prosperar aqui é um bom sinal. A equipa esperava ver mais tubarões na expedição. Mas não restam dúvidas de que as selvagens estão repletas de vida.
It is very far away from our cities, it's very far away from our daily life, and that's a real threat. But I believe that everybody will connect to the beauties of the wildlife and the oceans if they get a chance to see what's under the waves.
As pesquisas têm mostrado a importância destas águas para o Oceano Atlântico. Os recifes servem de zonas de berçário para muitas espécies.
What we find in these small isolated places is they're incredibly fragile. Most of the small animals, the juveniles that recruit to these places, come from this place almost exclusively.
Protecting these waters, you will protect a big part of the North Atlantic Ocean.
Well, we're leaving this expedition with a sense of robustness. The sea has been fished a lot, and it is under pressure. There's a sense of confidence as we leave this place, because it's in fantastic condition.
The biodiversity that our areas enclosed, it's really, really important for us. And I think it's not too late, but there is a sense of urgency. We are at a moment in time today where we cannot say that we don't know anymore what's going on. So there's enough information to act.